Hi, I'm Dr. Lenore Coleman, President and founder of Healing Our Village and Executive Director of Total Lifestyle Change. Welcome to the Healing Our Village Diabetes Prevention Program. Our topic today is called More About Carbs. Carbohydrates are really important for you to understand what are carbohydrates. And the reason why it's important that you understand that is because those are what we tend to watch in our diet if we have either prediabetes or diabetes. So you gotta know more about carbohydrates. So this is the program that's going to help you do that. You're going to get an understanding of what carbohydrates are, what types of foods are high in carbohydrate, and that's going to help you prevent or delay getting type 2 diabetes. The session we're going to talk about the link between carbohydrates and type 2 diabetes, the different types of carbohydrates, a healthy approach to managing your carbohydrate intake, and ways to find the right amount of carbs to have in your diet. Now, after this session, you're going to have to create a new action plan. So let's start with some tips. First, instead of using white rice, try barley or brown rice. When we're looking at our diet, and especially when we're looking at our carbohydrates, our grains, our beans, we're trying to get as much fiber in that food product that we're consuming as possible. So, if you talk about white rice versus brown rice, for instance, white rice is going to spike your blood sugar higher than brown rice because brown rice has more fiber. Instead of choosing apple pie, try stewed apples with cinnamon. Get rid of the crust, so make it a crustless apple pie, and that is less carbohydrates because the crust is made from grains, and grains are your carbohydrates. So if you make yourself just some stewed apples with cinnamon, that'll work out great in terms of an apple pie dessert for you. Now, let's talk about the different types of carbohydrates. There are three main types of carbohydrates: starches, sugars, and fiber. So, starchy foods include starchy vegetables, beans, peas, lentils, and grains. So when you're talking about your bread, that's a grain. So foods that are made from grains. So, starchy vegetables include your corn, your green peas, your parsnips, your plantains, potatoes, winter squash, yams. All of those are considered starchy vegetables. So they're going to have more carbohydrates, all right, than non-starchy vegetables. Beans, peas, and lentils, these include your black pinto and kidney beans, your black-eyed peas, your garbanzo beans, or they're also known as chickpeas, your red, brown, and black lentils, and your split peas. All of those are part of your carbohydrates. Those are your beans, peas, and lentils. Okay, now, when you're choosing whole grains, what you're thinking about there is whole grains contain both fiber, vitamins, minerals, and starch. So, we are looking at refined grains, and these refined grains are just starch. So we want you to use whole grains that have the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, and the starch instead of refined grains. Now, sugars. This is what we want you to really focus on and to eat the least amount as possible. So your portion sizes on these things have to be lower. So sugars, the things that they sweeten your food with, include fructose, which is fruit sugar, lactose, which is milk sugar, white, brown, and powdered sugar, corn syrup, maple syrup, honey, and molasses. Now, when you're looking at a particular food product and you see that the sugar content is high, it's got one of these sugars in it, and it most likely has corn syrup in it, as that's a very common sugar used especially in processed foods. High fiber foods include your beans, your peas, your lentils. Veggies and fruits are high fiber, especially the ones that have skin or seeds. So when we talk to you about eating pears and apples, there's a reason for that. Oranges, because they have a skin and they have seeds. And so they tend to be lower in carbohydrate, and they also happen to be higher in fiber. And fiber is good. Nuts, peanuts, walnuts, almonds, all of those are very healthy. They're also high in fiber, but they're also high in calories. So yes, you can have nuts as a snack, but you can only have a small amount because they are very high in calories and sometimes high in fat. And then whole grain foods, all of these are high fiber. Now, let's talk more about what these high fiber foods look like. So you're talking about your beans, your peas, your lentils. You're talking about limiting your nuts because we know for sure they are very high fiber. Now, let's talk about Desmond. Desmond is at risk for type 2 diabetes. His doctor tells him that the more carbohydrates he takes in, the higher his blood sugar is going to be. So she urges Desmond to take a healthy approach to eating carbohydrates. So he's trying to cut back on the amount of carbohydrates he has every meal. And when he does that, he's going to have to choose the right carbohydrates for each meal. So this is what Desmond decides to do. He decides to replace candy and cake with fruits like apples, oranges, and berries. Potatoes and corn with non-starchy vegetables such as broccoli, peppers, and carrots. White bread with 100% whole wheat bread, and white rice with brown rice. So those are some real simple, quick fixes that Desmond did to his diet immediately that will decrease the amount of carbohydrate that he's taking in at each meal. So now these days, Desmond is taking a healthy approach to carbohydrates. He uses food labels to find healthy items that meet his carb goals. He's also staying active, and as a result, his blood sugar is lower. Now, let's talk about calories. It's all about calories in and calories out. So here are some ways to take in fewer calories. Number one, use less fat because fat makes you fat. To keep foods from sticking, instead of using butter, you're going to use your non-stick cooking sprays. Go out and buy some non-stick cookware, and then if you're going to be cooking something, use water or stock like beef bouillon or chicken bouillon to be able to cook your vegetables or your meats. To replace butter and oil in baked goods, you can use ground up veggies or fruits with no added sugar, non-fat plain yogurt, or veggies with fruit juice not added. So you're looking for no sugar added fruit juices or veggies that you can have, and that will decrease your calories. How about replacing some of your fatty sauces with things like hummus or lemon juice or low-fat gravy, mustard, low-fat plain yogurt, salsa? I love salsa. That's a really great way to replace your fatty sauces. Vinegar, or for those of you who can stand it, hot sauce. Hot sauce works as well. So that's how you replace some of the fatty sauces that you're using to eat your meals, by using these various items that are way much lower in calories. Now, other ways to take in fewer calories include this. I always tell people the most important thing is to do not drink your calories. So you have to drink 8 glasses of water a day, or we want you to get your fluids in. So when you're drinking whatever it is that you're drinking at your meals or in between meals, it needs to be 0 calories. All right. Now, so you want to, if you're drinking sweet drinks now, you want to replace those sweet drinks with a low-fat soy milk, or a smoothie made with non-fat plain yogurt, skim milk, or frozen fruit. You can use your sparkling water. There's a lot of sparkling water out there that's actually got some fruit juices that are in the water, or you can just put some of your fruit juice that you have in your refrigerator into your sparkling water. Tea, coffee, no cream or sugar. Vegetable juice, if you're drinking that, make sure you pick the one that has no added sugar. and then water with lemon, lime, or mint. That makes the water taste much better. You got to control your portion sizes. That's so important. So we want you to look at your plate and make sure that you measure your food, pay attention to your serving sizes, and then the other thing is don't skip meals. So it's important that your body knows that it's going to be fed. And so it knows that it's going to eat 3 meals a day and a couple of snacks. So that helps your metabolic rate rev up. And so your body's not holding on to everything that you eat. So that's why it's so important not to skip meals. Pay attention to serving sizes, as I said earlier. You need to plan your snacks and your meals. Start with non-starchy vegetables or a broth-based soup and smaller plates. Instead of using those big dinner plates, sometimes use your sauce plates so that you can see a lot less of your portions in those big, huge dinner plates. So think about using some smaller plates. If any of you have your grandma's china, compare the size of their plate to the size of the plate that's in your cupboard. And you can see that 30, 40 years ago, we were eating on much smaller plates. Now, we talk about the 100-calorie snack. We talk about calories in and calories out. Well, what you have to do is figure out how you're going to burn calories. So here's some ideas of how to burn 100 calories. So think about this. Just with your household chores. If you garden for 30 to 45 minutes, or you rake leaves for 30 minutes, or shovel snow for 15 minutes, if you wash or wax your car for 45 to 60 minutes, or even wash windows in your house, those all will burn 100 calories with that particular activity. Sports, for those sports fans out there, biking 5 miles at 30 minutes, or dancing fast for 30 minutes. Water aerobics for those who have access to a pool. Jump rope is probably the least expensive thing that you could do right in your house. You have to have some coordination, but jumping rope for 15 minutes can burn 100 calories. Playing touch football for you young folks out there. If you have young children, pushing a stroller 1.5 miles for 30 minutes, shooting baskets, playing basketball for 30 minutes, swimming for 20 laps for 20 minutes, or walking at least 1.75 miles for 35 minutes. That's 20 minutes a mile. That's what you can also burn up 100 calories. And then if you're in a wheelchair, just pushing your wheelchair. Self-propelling your wheelchair for 30 minutes will burn up 100 calories. Listen, I want to thank you so much for your attention today. We hope you've learned a lot about carbohydrates. We want you to learn more about carbs. For more information about these modules or how to join the diabetes prevention program that we do at Healing Our Village, please call our 800 number, 788-0941. That's 800-788-0941. And for more information about living a healthy lifestyle, please go to our website, HOV Health.